So back in December, November timeframe, I had quite a few people in my life having kids. And at the time, I was considering being a life coach. So they were like, you know what? Okay, if you're a life coach, what advice would you give for someone that is about to be a parent? And they were definitely being facetious, but at the same time, I'm still going to give you the advice that I have because I think it's actually pretty solid advice. So, if you haven't seen me before, hi, my name is Kat Donovan, and basically my whole goal is to live an authentic and fulfilling lifestyle. And with that, I think part of that is understanding why we don't feel like we can be authentic. And I do think a lot of that comes from childhood and the way you're parented. And I don't think that's not to say our parents are bad people or that they purposely did these things to us. I think it's literally what the people call generational trauma. And it's like their parents did it to them and their parents did it to them. And it's just a long, long line going way far back. But I think analyzing and like looking back at how I feel and what I kind of wish would have happened for me and how I think that when I have kids I will approach the situation is so I gave this person five bullets. So the first one is acknowledge you're going to fuck your kid up. It'll take so much pressure off worrying if you'll do something wrong. You will. It's actually guaranteed. No matter what, you're going to be too tough or too soft or too distant or too emotional, but at least you're always going to try to do what's best for the kid. And that's what really counts. Understanding you have the ability to craft as good of a relationship as you want with the child allows you to take leadership in making them feel safe, loved, and accepted. They may be mad in the moment at your decisions, but having that relationship, they'll one day be able to look back and know it was for good reason. There's no perfect parent except the one that understands they're raising an individual. So I think part of this is me feeling like oftentimes kids become extensions of their parents. We joke about celebrities using kids as accessories, but I do think whenever you're using your child as a way to either live the life that you wished you had, or if you keep trying to control the way that they're expressing themselves rather than flowing with their expression and mainly just focusing on, are they a good person? Are they honest? Do they have integrity? And actual morals rather than the expression of the morals, if that makes sense. Like, who cares what hair color you have? Who cares what you're wearing? More so just like allowing them to be however they need to show up in life, because everyone, I do believe, has a purpose and you just gotta like let them live their purpose. But if you're constantly trying to control them, I think that's actually where this stems from, is there's so much control in this world instead of connection. I think that's how past generations were taught. And I think moving forward in the next generations, as we learn to connect more and get rid of control, we're going to get rid of codependency and we're going to get rid of a lot of stuff that was creating power dynamics and authenticity issues. So rule number 2, or not rule, but tip number 2, thought line number 2. It's not the answer that enlightens, but the question. Both the questions we ask ourselves and the questions we ask to understand others. Maybe some of these questions will enlighten you with what you need. So some of the questions I asked were, what are 3 things your parents did that you look back on and think they did a great job at? What are 3 shortcomings of your parents that you don't wish to pass down to your child? What are your top 5 greatest strengths as a person that will be beneficial for your child to be surrounded with? Basically, what character traits will they pick up from your actions that you would be proud to see in them? What are 5 things you could work on to set a better example for your kids? How do you currently view and respond to changes, both last minute and long term? If your kid was having a kid, what advice would you give them? And does your relationship with your spouse or your relationship with your child come first? Why do you feel that way? Again, I do think it's really important that You're intentional with the life that you're living, and I think the best way to do that is to consistently ask yourself why. Why do I think this way? Why do I feel this way? Why am I doing this? And whenever you're able to ask yourself these questions, you also become more available to ask these questions to other people. You become more comfortable doing so. And I think, again, that's more so a communication thing, both with your child and the people that you're trying to raise your child with, whether that also be their grandparents, your spouse, whatever it may be. Number 3, set expectations. Think about what you want, hope, and dream for your child and their life. Now throw all of those out the window. They didn't ask to be born. They did not choose to be your child. But you did choose to be their parent. You chose to bring another living being onto this planet. The only expectations to be set is that you allow them to be viewed as an individual and not an extension of yourself. And I think this goes back to kind of what I was saying with the first point, is don't have expectations of what sports they're going to play or what instruments they're going to play. There's going to be some things that they naturally gravitate towards because it is around them, but you should be giving them multiple choices on what they can pick up and what they can learn. Give them a variety of different things to actually be able to see, like, what is theirs. You're allowed to have your stuff, and I understand that you want to connect with them in some way, but again, I think it kind of goes back to control. If you feel like they like the exact same things as you by only presenting them with those options, then it's kind of controlling them because they have no choice but to do the things that you like. And that is a form of control. They don't know what the other things are, and they're not old enough to be able to venture out and see what those are for themselves. So it is a form of control, and I don't know that that's the best for them. And I think that's something that you should question. Is that truly the best? And is it the things that are more important, or is it the connection that you make with them that's more important? Number 4, everything comes back to you. Your relationships will rarely be healthier than your self-esteem. You can't show up for your child or your partner if you're not showing up for yourself. Understand your traumas, understand your triggers, and aim to heal them. By becoming a better you become better for everyone around you. Therapy may not always be the appropriate style, or at least talk therapy. But there's plenty of self-improvement books, online resources, religion/spirituality practices and templates, etc. Do what works for you. I am a huge proponent of self-improvement. I do think that we should be looking at our shadows, and I do think we should be ridding ourselves of shame. And I do really think that the lower self-esteem you have, the lower self-worth you have, the worse your relationships are, because you can't communicate, and you can't communicate properly in the sense of you're trying to reach a solution rather than being right. If you constantly have low self-worth, you're constantly trying to prove yourself. And when you're trying to prove yourself, you're competing with someone. You're not trying to connect with them. Those are opposite things, competing and connecting. We're all on the same team. Quite literally, on this planet, we are all on the same team. And if you can't think that way, your relationships are never going to be fulfilling. And lastly, number 5, have fun. It's not that serious. They're going to be messy. You're going to get frustrated. But it's understanding that you can't change those circumstances, only the way you look at them. It's going to be a long journey with them. Don't run to the next milestone. Learn to have fun in the current one. I think having babies, at least from the stories that I've heard, they're going to shit everywhere. And it's going to be crazy. You're probably going to get pissed on at some point. It's just laughing at it. It's understanding that that's a natural thing. It's going to happen. And yeah, might ruin your day a little bit, might get a little stinky, a little stenchy, but those are memories that you're going to look back on and you're going to laugh at later. So might as well laugh at it in the moment as well and be like, yeah, we saw that one coming. We saw that one coming, but that's okay. So those were just my 5 things that I was like, realistically, if I was going through that change in life and having a kid, these are the things that I would focus on, and I would try to understand about myself and the mindset that I would use going into having a kid and raising them. So I hope this was helpful, not only from a parenting or future parenting aspect, but also within healing the self and understanding why maybe you had issues with your parents and understanding like, wow, I really do feel like maybe I was treated as an accessory instead of an individual. and recognizing how you can now take back your autonomy as an adult and be like, no, this is my life, actually. I get to introduce myself to new things, and I get to try new things, and I am an individual, and I get to express myself as an individual, and that's okay. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if I like the same things as my parents, as long as I have self-worth and I'm trying to communicate with them, then that's what's more important, is the emotional connection, not the interests in the things, if that makes sense. So yeah, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you have any other advice that you want to add, or if you feel like this resonated, please comment down below. And then, of course, subscribe. Would love to have you here. I'm so glad we had this chat. And if you're looking for any more content from me, I do have a Patreon. Link is in the description, but it's also link in bio. And basically, it's just another place for me to talk about the lessons I've learned in life and how I'm doing on this journey of becoming more authentic and feeling fulfilled. But it's kind of more artsy, more like poetic, if you will. But yeah, really interesting stuff. Highly recommend you check it out. And yeah, all my love to you. I hope you have a great day. Okay, bye.